Hello, my name is NancyWaressen. My presentation will be on the homicide rates in the state of Maryland. What I really wanted to know was, is my safety net truly warranted? All the data collected spans a series from year 2003 to 2014. So with data collected from the FBI and FOIA databases, I was able to create a line chart that shows the steady decline in homicide rates in the state of Maryland. You can see this decline starts in 2007, and towards the end of the line chart there's a possible increase or decrease that's highlighted here. Sort of Tableau's way of showing the possible forecasts that could happen. This is all based on prior data. I wanted to see if there was a correlation between high school graduation rates and the homicide rate in the state of Maryland. Looking at this split graph, these are two scatter plots, you can see that the high school graduation rate has actually increased over time, while the homicide rate is steadily decreasing. You can almost forecast on your own that as the high school rates go up, the homicide rate will continue to go down. The next factor I wanted to look at was the unemployment rates in Maryland. Looking at this filled line chart, you can see that there's actually an increase in the unemployment average for every county in the state of Maryland from the year 2007 to about 2010. I would like to attribute this to the housing crisis that happened around that time, specifically peaking in 2008. This caused a small economic recession. However, if you look at the homicide rate, it's still in decline during that same time period, which leads me to conclude that there is no correlation between the two factors. Or at least the unemployment rate is not significant enough to impact the homicide rate. I was interested to know within the homicide statistics which gender is more likely to be the victim and which gender is more likely to be the perpetrator. Looking at this graph, here you can see in cases of homicide there are higher male perpetrators than female. There are high male victims to perpetrators with unknown gender, and there are higher male victims than female. In general, males are more likely to be victims of homicide in the state of Maryland. I combined data from the Maryland Health and Human Services Department on population statistics and the data from the FBI and FOIA databases and created a combined bar and line chart that shows even with the population growth, there's still a steady decline in homicide rates. And using the forecast analytics from Tableau, the decrease in homicide rates continues as the population rates goes up. I was still a little bit curious in terms of the demographics within the homicide rates. I drilled down further into what probabilities existed regarding race and gender of homicide victims and perpetrators. In this visual, it is clear that there is a higher probability of the victim being the same race as the perpetrator. There's also a high probability that the victim is the same gender as the perpetrator. There's also a high probability that the victim is a black male, and there are significant observations of black female and white male victims. My last curiosity was to see which counties within the state of Maryland had high or low homicide rates. Looking at this bar chart, you can see our top 5 counties starting from the top We have Baltimore City. We have Prince George's County. Next we have Baltimore County and Arundel County, and last Montgomery County. So in conclusion, is it warranted for me to continue to feel safe in the state of Maryland? I could easily say I don't live in Baltimore City, and so yes, I feel safe, but at the same time, I do live in one of the top 5 counties in the state of Maryland that has significant homicide rates. So I feel as safe as I can.